In the last few videos, I discussed criminal sentencing and how sometimes misunderstandings about how that process works leads to unjustified outrage. Okay, what about in situations where the outrage is justified, where a criminal gets off easy or is not incarcerated when he should be? One situation that comes to mind is this horrible story out of Chicago here recently where a deranged individual set a woman on fire on the CTA line. Terrible, terrible situation. And as it turns out, the individual, the perpetrator, had a long rap sheet, something reported that he's been arrested like 70 plus times, been in and out of jail, and was supposed to be on electronic home monitoring for an incident where he smacked a social worker in the head so hard that the social worker had to be hospitalized. And so this was a situation where people were rightly outraged. But even in situations like that, we have to be careful. And I know some of the suggestions that have been proposed in the wake of this horrible incident. There are people suggesting that some judges should be held accountable, or that we should pass legislation that will punish judges who let criminals out in situations like this where they end up doing harm to the community. And while I completely understand that outrage and that sentiment, I do think that that's a mistake. And there's some issues here. Obviously, you've got, when you talk about government, you've got separation of powers. I don't know if legislation like that would implicate a separation of powers issue. But regardless, you do want some independence for the judiciary. And if you go down this road where you start punishing judges for exercising their judgment poorly, what they're going to do is they're going to err on the side of incarceration. And that's not always a good thing, because not every case is like this case. There are some cases where the fact situations are murky, or where incarceration's not appropriate. After all, you've got to be proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And if people can post bond and there are reasonable restrictions, keeping them from engaging in other crimes, there are situations where it's entirely appropriate to not incarcerate people. So it's a complicated problem. The better answer, the better solution, is just to draw attention to situations like this and elect better judges, or in the case of judges who are appointed, elect better politicians who will appoint responsible judges. But again, the outrage, while it's entirely understandable in a situation like this, you still have to be careful. It's very easy to push these knee-jerk solutions, but you got to think through the implications of these things as well.